She's a businesswoman. She's a former mayor of the town of Mount Pleasant. And now, Linda Page has her sights set on becoming the next Mount Pleasant Water Commissioner. I sit down exclusively with Linda for a special edition of Quintin's Close-Ups. And be sure to download the free Quintin's Close-Ups app in your Apple or Google Play stores. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Linda Page, welcome back to Quintin's Close-Ups.
Glad to be here.
Yes, ma'am. You know, I went on your Facebook page just recently, and I felt like something is in the water around here. It's Kathleen Wilson, former Charleston City Councilwoman, is running for Charleston Water Commissioner. And now I think you're going to be running for Mount Pleasant Water Commission as well.
Yes, I've already filed. I was there shortly after 12 noon last Friday to get ahead of it. And yeah, I've thrown my name in for that seat.
Linda Page, entrepreneur, powerhouse in Mount Pleasant, town councilwoman, former Mount Pleasant mayor. Why Mount Pleasant Water and Sewer Commission?
Well, you know, I think one of the things that really, it's a strange story, but I tell people one of the least sexy parts of being in politics is discussion of infrastructure. But I'm passionate about infrastructure, and I see the challenges that all the water companies have. You know, Mount Pleasant Water Works has got aging systems, we've got new systems, we've got challenges, and you know, I thought, well, okay, I've reached the age where I have some flexibility in my schedule. Somebody asked me the other day, and I said, well, you know, Waterworks, it's maybe 20 hours a month. Town council member, maybe 30 hours a month.
Thanks.
Mayor, maybe 30 hours a week.
Right.
As a part-time mayor in Mount Pleasant. And I'm just passionate about public service, and I'm just excited to see how the election goes.
You talk about how the election goes. Let me talk to you about the issues concerning infrastructure really in the town of Mount Pleasant when it comes to water and sewer. How concerned are you about the future of SNOW?
Oh, so, you know, that all came up when I was mayor. So, of course, I talked to a lot of the Snowden representatives, and I was on Waterworks at the time when we first started discussion extension of the lines in Snowden. I'm a little concerned about the potential Charleston County ordinance that is going to allow people to have water and sewer without annexation. I don't know how well thought out it is at this point. I've spoken to some members of the African American settlement community, and you know, Snowden has done a fantastic job, and they're an example for a community that has to work with county council instead of the town council. You know, they're organized and they're unified, and I understand what they need and I understand why they want it. But you know, we, you know, as a water commissioner, potential water commissioner, have to be worried about the ratepayers in the town of Mount Pleasant and all the implications.
Implications. What could be those implications, Linda?
Well, let's just say that you take away the need to annex into our town to get water and sewer. That's the most basic one. And I understand why people might not want to annex, but let's just take that away. Say, you know, I live in a donut hole. It doesn't matter if I'm contiguous or not contiguous. Water and sewer is available to me. I want it, and I don't want to be part of the town. Well, the town for many, many decades has a goal to kind of unify ourselves and make sure that those communities are part of the town, represented by town government. And the other big issue is development. You know, you get water and sewer, and you can have increased capacity for, you know, more buildings, more houses. You know, that's why in rural areas, you know, septic tanks are the most common in South Carolina.
And you're right about that. You talk about septic tanks. Let me take you to your beloved Ship Creek.
Yeah.
What is your issue with that right now?
Well, you know, so the biggest issue with Ship Creek, you know, don't ask me about some of the policy decisions being made according to Ship Creek, but for me is, you know, water keepers monitors our water, and on any given day, you have people that are out enjoying our waterways, particularly Shem Creek waterway, on paddle boards and kayaks, and their dogs are out there in it and swimming, and people are wading in it, and it's not clean. And you know, my good friend Gary Santos, we had a study. We tried to decide. You're talking a real issue of, is it sewage? Is it animal waste? Why do we have these high contents of these bacteria that are really harmful and threatening to us? So there's a lot of septic tanks on Shem Creek. Shem Creek goes all the way to the headwaters. I think there's about 90.
Right.
I don't know the answer, because let's turn it around, Quintin. So I live on Shem Creek, and I've lived there for 40 years, and I have a septic tank that's working properly. And you want me to tie into Mount Pleasant sewer, sewer and water. I already have water, but you want me to tie into the sewer line. Well, it's under the road. It's going to cost me $10,000 to do it. And then I'm going to pay $50 a month for the rest of the time that I own that house to pay for that sewer fee. These are hard pills to swallow. And that's why I'm ready. I'm rolling up my sleeves, man. I'm going in. I'm ready.
You are ready indeed. I want to go back to Snell, because if you could, what would be a universal financial plan to get everyone on board to really provide relief to those people with this crisis?
Well, that's the problem. It's not that easy. Mayor Haney went and Elliot Summey, and they had a meeting, and they came out of the meeting, and they said, we're going to give everybody water and sewer. Well, it's great, but who's going to pay for it? Ultimately, I'm very involved politically, and I stay in touch, and everybody wants everything. We want a lower student debt. We want great infrastructure. We want fantastic health care, but at the end of the day, somebody's got to pay. So I don't know the answer. I know what the folks in Snowden want. I know the intent of Mount Pleasant Waterworks and their strong desire to help those people. Because if you have a septic tank and you're having it pumped every month for $100 a month because it can't function anymore, because there's no more drain field and there's nowhere else to go, those are real problems.
And I know another problem is really the water demand from Google. Mm-hmm. How do you observe that?
Well, it's not just Google. So, we're always hyper-focused, So I had the opportunity to serve on the COG. So not only was I on the COG, but I was Secretary-Treasurer of the COG for several years. Mm-hmm. And I was on the Executive Committee. And so the Executive Committee, and I was also on the Environmental Committee. Right. And it's kind of strange because, these are obscure little committees of elected officials. So for me, here I am, an auctioneer, business owner, happen to be mayor, sitting listening to presentations from many different entities that want to draw on our aquifer. And Google, one of the biggest. Well, you have to decide what hat you're wearing that day. So for me, we heard from DHEC that the only way we were going to get a valid water management plan for the state of South Carolina, which is in crisis, is to approve some of these larger withdrawals and then have a voice at the table about our concerns about that. Now, what are our concerns? You want to cool servers, or you want to give people clean drinking water? Are there other options? The way it was explained to us, we won't even have a voice at the table to discuss it unless we tell them, yeah, you can draw. And then we want to know what we can do that's better. And that's what we need to do as a society, Quintin. We need to look and do what we can do better.
Then we get back to, obviously, the septic tanks and people, obviously paying $100 a month for that. If you were to become water commissioner, mm-hmm. how much would people be paying then?
Well, so that's one thing people complain about. On Nextdoor and all the social media sites, people complain about technology. People complain about their water bills. People complain about the cost of everything. The whole SCANA thing and Dominion Energy. I did get my refund. I'm proud to say I'm a big user because it was almost $70. Yeah.
You can take me on now.
Thanks. We're good. So our water rates are set, not just by the whim of the commission. The commissioners don't get together and say, well, we're doing pretty good this year, or we're not doing so good, and we adjust it. We have outside auditing financial firms come in, and they look at the sustainability of our water. Because we have to have enough money coming in to make sure that, and we read about the crises all over the United States. Everyone knows about Flint, Michigan.
Right.
We read about clean water and the importance of it, and we run out of it. So most of the water rates are set, and this is with most commissions, electric commissions, water commissions. It's not like commissioners are going to go in on their own and say, we're going to lower water rates. I demand we lower water rates, because it can't always happen. So what we have to do as commissioners is look at all the data and make sure we're not overcharging, and our coffers aren't getting too full. We got to run a lean commission.
You talk about, how is that coffer right now?
The coffer's good. I mean, the revenues for Mount Pleasant Water Works are solid.
Okay.
But the challenges with Mount Pleasant Water Works are probably unlike some in other parts of the country. So when we go up Highway 41 and have to replace aging infrastructure that's been laying in pluff mud and deteriorated, we're not dealing with regular environmental issues. Everything here, building roads. I mean, it's so much more expensive to build a road in the Low Country than it is in Columbia. We have marshes and rivers, and you have to mitigate for marsh. But Mount Pleasant Water Works is doing a good job.
And how is that sustainability in your mind?
Well, sustainability is tenuous, and in any entity that relies on balance of growth and income and repair to infrastructure. So Mount Pleasant Water Works is pretty blessed. We're doing a big wastewater treatment expansion right there on Rough Range Road, and Clay Duffy's done a great job leading the charge, and the commissioners have been fantastic. There's going to be a seat open because I believe my buddy John Burns is not going to run again. And I wanted to make sure that I stepped up, because I get that they're doing a good job, and I get that people complain about their water and the increases to 7.5% a year. So maybe it's not so much about how well we're doing. Maybe it's not so much about how much we're paying. It's just about getting people to understand what the Water Commission is, how we operate. And I'm big on getting people to the meeting. That has been my charge all along. And if you go to a Water Commission meeting in town of Mount Pleasant, very often there are no citizens in the seats. And that's sad. I agree. So, why don't we, as commissioners, and I know they're busy and they have their lives, and they're trying to provide safe water and sanitation services without affecting the environment. But I don't think the average person understands Mount Pleasant Water Works is not the town of Mount Pleasant. Town of Mount Pleasant is not billing you for water. The only thing that the commissioners the commission relies on town of Mount Pleasant to sign its bonds. So they gave us bonding authority.
Mm.
But maybe it's not so much how much we've got in the bank or how well we're doing or the sustainability of it. It's about having people understand these pressures and these needs in a logical, common sense way, which is what I bring to the table.
And you talk about that bond. How's that right now, money-wise?
Bonding, well, we bond when we have projects, and so we bonded for rifle range, and money was good. The town of Mount Pleasant is blessed as well. So Mount Pleasant has, of course, a AAA bond rating, and I hope we continue to have a AAA bond rating. And with Mount Pleasant Water Works, we've won accounting awards for decades. So you want it to be trusted financially as a commission. You want your community to have solid knowledge of that income and where you're spending it.
And you talked earlier about, obviously, the difference between the Mount Pleasant, the town of Mount Pleasant, and obviously the Mount Pleasant Water and Sewer Commission. What is that relationship? I mean, former mayor.
Well, it's good, the split, I believe the history, and you have to check my records, but in the 1920s, Mount Pleasant used to own the water, and then we formed a commission, and is it good to form a commission and not have that control? There's been conversations about that. Should the town of Mount Pleasant absorb Mount Pleasant Water Works? Should we run it? And I think because of the past history and what a great job they've done, and Dr. Golightly was there for decades as chairman, and Rick Crosby is chairman now. So I don't think the relationship is bad. I just don't think people understand it. You know, I think when people complain about Mount Pleasant water, they are complaining about Mount Pleasant. And it's, you've got to go somewhere else to complain about it.
You talk about record. If I were to look at your voting record, being the mayor and obviously on town council, what should I look at right now?
You know, I always tell people, if you want to understand my voting record, you know, it's easy to look at someone's vote and say, oh, they voted yes or they voted no. You know, and that's not fair, Quintin. You know, and I'm not defending myself. I'm defending integrity of any elected official. So, you know, I know what you do in your life, and you know, you're out here talking to all of us politicians and all of us movers and shakers. And, you know, so here's the situation. So, you know, I think everyone should serve. I think everyone should run a campaign, win, lose, or draw. I think if you're passionate, you need to get out and you need to help your community. Period. When you are presented facts, so you have a group of people who support you. They write you checks, they throw you parties, or they don't write you checks, or they don't throw you parties, or they throw barbs at you on social media, and they poke at you and they pick at you, whatever side it is. But that doesn't matter. You're elected. If you're duly elected with honor and integrity, you have to make decisions based on the facts you're presented as you understand them. Because what they voted for is you, Quintin, or me, Linda. They didn't vote because they thought I'd vote a certain way. I mean, you know, you hear all this chatter, oh, Linda Page should have voted for this or this or this. Well, you didn't see the same facts that I was presented with. You voted for me because you trusted me. You voted for me because I do have honor and integrity. And I think, you know, I am a very practical person, kind of pragmatic. I got to look at all of the facts, and then I got to go back to the source and who's asking the question and why I'm being asked the question. And then I got to ask about 100 questions more. And then I'm going to get to my decision, and I'm going to stand firm by it almost every time.
When you look at the facts, and if you were to be elected water commissioner, what decision would you make on day one?
Well, the first decision I make on day one is, you know, I kind of have a foot up as far as knowledge and understanding of the water system, because I have had those water tours, and I've been to the water plant, and I've been to some of their meetings, or many of their meetings. But I think as the water commissioner, the first job you have to do, and I watch it anyway, is understanding the budget of the Mount Pleasant Water Works. I want to understand kind of the class action lawsuit that's going on right now about rates. Want to understand about how Clay Duffy and the rest of the commission really feels about the replacement of the water tower in Old Mount Pleasant. I really want to talk to them about their relationship with Chelsea County. I mean, it's just knowledge. The first thing you have to do is just get more knowledge.
Knowledge. What is your knowledge about the old water tower in Mount Pleasant? I was just looking at it just the other day, right there at Simmons and Coleman. What is your knowledge about that?
Well, I have a lot of knowledge about it, and you know, I watch all the meetings. I still read agendas. I still read all the minutes. And you know, someone thinks that you get out of politics. You don't. You know, I'm on YouTube. I choose to. A lot of times I'm cooking. It's a lot more pleasant on my side because a lot of times I have YouTube on and I'm watching the town council meeting, or I'm reading minutes. And so there's an old water tower. It's aging. We haven't used it in decades because, you know, that's gravity fed water. We don't use water towers as they were meant to be used, and it's old and it's dangerous. So my understanding is Mount Pleasant Water Works said, well, it's old and it's dangerous, and we need to dismantle it. But there's a challenge. So the challenge is it is a cell tower in disguise. And what a great disguise for a cell tower. You know, who doesn't love an iconic water tower? I mean, everybody knows the Peach. You know, you don't think about Gaffney unless you think about the Peach, right? So the easiest remedy, and it's $1 million in revenue, is the way I understand it. And I could be wrong on the number, but I understand it's about $1 million worth of revenue annually to the Water Commission that the ratepayers don't pay. So say you got a revenue that's not coming directly off of the sales of water, and that's a good thing. because that's revenue that can go to infrastructure or improvements to line or whatever that you need to use it for. But then you have a neighborhood, then you have a choice. You want to put up a stealth tower, a monopole. We have monopoles all over Charleston. Do you notice them? Can you name where one may be? I'm asking.
Me? Oh, Lordy.
There's the test.
Yeah.
There's one on Solomon's Island that you see when you go over the causeway.
Oh, yeah.
There's one behind the auto parts store on Highway 17 when you're going up Highway 17 north.
Right.
There's one in Dunes West. They're all over. Now, the question is, if I live anywhere, doesn't matter if it's the old village, or now I live in Brickyard, or Dunes West, or Snowden, do I want to have a monopole next to my property? Or do I want that old rusty iconic water tower? So there's a rub. You know, it hadn't been solved yet. I don't know what the answer is, but we're going to find out pretty soon, I believe.
And you talked earlier about watching the town council meetings. When you look at those meetings, is there a part of you that says, I told you so?
About what?
All the issues that are going on right now.
No, because the issues that are going on right now are the consequences of what the council ran on. I have no quarrels with that. I mean, I had to laugh because Mayor Haney tweeted about a meeting with you. I think you're interviewing him this week.
No, September, the week of September 11th.
Yeah, I think he said, if Quintin ain't calling, your ratings are falling or something. It was a clever little tweet. But no, so you went back to why you elect people and what they do when they get there. And, you know, you had a council that said, you know, we're just going to stop it regardless of the consequences. We're just going to shut it down. You know? So when I watch, I try to respect the honor and integrity of the people that are elected. And it's hard to walk a mile in another man's shoes, or near impossible. But I'm mindful of the decisions they make and why they make them. Do I agree with them? Maybe not. Would I make the same decisions? Possibly not. But that's not what I ran on, and that's not who I am. You know, I'm someone who is for progress and preservation. You know, I'm just not gonna do it. You know, I can't just say no at all costs. I'm gonna say, Quintin, you know, my heart says no, but what's the cost of the lawsuits? What's the damage to the relationships and the people and the corporations and the finances? You know, I'm just a different person. But no, I don't. You know, I don't think they should do it differently. I think they're doing what they said they do, and you know, they have to follow their own art and their own path. It's you know, it's their run, it's their service.
Service. You talk about service. When you look at the Mount Pleasant Water Commission's budget, what do you want to take in? What do you want to take out?
Well, you know, it's hard. They have a complicated budget, and the town of Mount Pleasant has done a really good job in increasing a narrative in our budget process. And I know that sounds kind of silly, but if you're not used to looking at a budget document, it's pretty dry and pretty boring. And when you're looking at numbers that are 46, 133, you know, most of us would think that's $46,133, but you know, you're talking in millions. You know, these are big budgets that you deal with when we're these large municipalities now. So the only thing that I would do as water commissioner when I'm elected to the water commission is sit down with the CFO, like I did often with the town of Mount Pleasant CFO. Because, you know, I'm a business owner, I get money,
right.
but that's, you know, that's money. I mean, it's hard for us to talk in millions when we're honest working people who don't have those kind of meetings. So when I hear the town council or the county council, you know, the latest was this morning with the Medal of Honor Museum, $500,000 here and
Right.
$3 million here, and accommodations tax at $3 million. Wow. for most of us citizens, you know, who I'm 60 now, never going to retire, so you know that's not an issue. But well, unless blessed good Lord willing, I won't retire. You know, those are big dollars, and someone needs to be cautious with them. Does that mean we cut things or take things out, or you go in extra flush and things? Maybe not. Maybe it's understanding them and explaining them better to the people who use our services.
Linda Page, thank you so much for your time. And again, welcome back to Quintin's House.
It's always a pleasure, dude.
Likewise.
And I'm not taking you out to dinner with my 68. I'm sorry.
Not even dessert?
Maybe dessert.
Okay.
A nice banana pudding.
Yeah, that'll work.
Okay. Thanks, Quinn.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You're okay.